Let's see when the stream pops up and all the good stuff. Yeah, microphone, blah blah blah. I get it. Oh, it's on. Fantastic. There it is. So then I can see the YouTube chat. And Banana, thank you very much. Banana Cake Pie, thank you very much for putting that in the chat. It's almost as if it's a compulsory thing to do with these streams, as they'll always have those three emojis. Sorry, Alex, Banana beat you to the punch this time, mate. I'm sorry about that. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Spec Esports stream. This is the PS4 Pacific Series, the Tier 2. Round 19 of the championship, the third last round of this championship, the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, a 5.51 kilometer circuit with 20 corners. It's actually not a bad racetrack, I have to say. It's a pretty cool one, in my opinion. If I was a circuit designer, if I was personally, I would try and get as many aspects of many great circuits and try and string together this awesome racetrack. And that's sort of what Herman Tilke did with this thing. You got Sector 1, which, as we're riding on board with Dan the Racer, I'll get all the other stuff up as well. There we go, track map, there we go. This bit is heavily inspired from the legendary Maggots and Beckett section from Silverstone. You've got Turkey's turn 8 in the form of turn 16, 17 and 18. Turn 11 up here is sort of reminiscent of Buddha. There's a hairpin on the Indian circuit of Buddha. It's somewhat reminiscent, except for the fact it doesn't narrow on corner exit. It stays the same track width. And this sector section coming up after this straight is somewhat reminiscent of the arena section at Hockenheim, this sort of tight twisty bit, allowing the audience to see the cars nice and close up. So it's quite a nice racetrack, I find it. It was built in 2012 as a means to try and rekindle the relationship between the US and Formula One. Before this circuit was created, the last Formula One Grand Prix to be held in the United States was all the way back in 2007 at the Indianapolis Grand Prix circuit, the road course. And of course, America's relationship took quite a turn after 2005. So this track was sort of built to try and rekindle that relationship, and I definitely think it has. It's quite a nice racetrack and quite a good racing facility. It sort of represents the US in Formula One. I quite like it. And Dan the Racer, he's going to take us around. Now, turn 1, it's probably one of the most unique turn 1s in the sport. I have to mute some people. Give me a minute. There we go. That turn 1, from the start-finish line to the apex of turn 1, that's a climb of 40.5 meters. Now, to put that into perspective, the entire elevation change of the Monaco Grand Prix, which is quite an up and down circuit for a street circuit, the total elevation change is 44 meters. That's how steep of a climb it is up into turn 1. From the start-finish line to the apex of turn 1 is 40.5 meters. It's absolutely massive. He's coming into Sector 3 now. He hasn't invalidated his time quite just yet. Coming through turns 13 and 14 into turn 15, a scene of many, many dive bombs. It's quite a nice overtaking opportunity if you're brave enough to go for it. Then turn 16, 17 and 18, quite reminiscent of Turkey's turn 8, Istanbul's turn 8, turn 19, and then there's the sun of turn 20. It's one of the things you have to look out for on this circuit during qualifying. The blinding sun that is right in your eyes when you're going up towards the corner, it sort of blinds the apex as well and blinds the braking zones. So it's quite a tricky corner to take during qualifying. Not so much in the race, because the sun isn't burning your eyes out during the race, which is quite nice. Kickbutt Kiwi goes to the top of the table with a 1 minute 32.8, beaten by championship 8 as well, only 0.02 of a second quicker than Kickbutt Kiwi. Speaking of championship leader, it's probably for the best to talk about the championship, and it's a three-way. Let's see here. Pacific Series. Right, let's have a good look at this. So, Misty Griffin is currently leading the way, as I said. He's on 201 points, leading Harass 18. This man in... Oh, he's not actually on an outlap. Okay. Leading the Mercedes driver by 21 points. He's on 180. Then Aussie Suspect, only 7 points behind Harass on 173. He's 28 behind Misty Griffin. And I think it's now down to these three drivers fighting for the Drivers' Championship. In fourth place is Kickbutt Kiwi. He is mathematically in contention on 143. He's 58 points behind Misty Griffin. He's mathematically in contention, but whether or not he can actually fight for it, it's going to be quite a mountain to climb for him. But this is Formula One. Anything can happen in this sport. A lot of people said the same thing about Kimi Raikkonen in 07. Everyone thought it was either going to be Alonso or Hamilton. But up a 17-point gap. And remember, in 07, the maximum amount of points you could score was 10. And he still clawed it back to clinch the championship in 07. So it's still possible. It's still very, very much possible. But that is pretty much what we need to discuss in regards to the Drivers' Championship. It seems at this stage a three-way fight with 3 rounds to go. Very interesting prospect for this championship. Let's see. Anyone on a flyer? We got drivers on medium tyres. That's something I haven't yet mentioned, is that this circuit, it is a soft to medium strategy here. It's a one-stop, soft to mediums. But one notorious thing about this circuit, in particular in this game, is how difficult it is to manage tyre temperatures. It is horrendous around here to try and manage tyre temperatures. I was talking to a driver pre-race, and he said the wear of the medium tyre in the second stint is about 70% towards at the end of the race. So from when they pit onto a fresh set of mediums to the end, it's about 70%. It's quite a lot of wear. They do last. There is still grip in them once they reach that sort of 50 to 60% mark. But yeah, it's really, really difficult to manage. This contender, he's on a flying lap at the moment. Has not yet set a lap time. On the soft tyres, I imagine he'll be aiming around the 33s. Coming through turn 11. No, sorry, turn 12. One of probably 2 overtaking hot spots on this circuit. There's Proximity Ross, aka Achi Reale, going onto the grass, trying to get out of the way. There's 2 major overtaking hot spots in the form of turn 1 and turn 12, as they come immediately after DRS zones. You can try and make a move into turn 11, the hairpin that I was talking about earlier. You can make a move into turn 15 as well. Turn 15 coming just before the Turkey turn 8 bit of the circuit. This sort of tight hairpin left that drivers try to go down the inside, try and jostle for position, as Harass obliterates Misty Griffin's and Kickbutt Kiwi's time by almost 7/10 of a second. He does a 1 minute 32.1. That is an awesome lap. I wonder if anyone can match it or try and get close to that time. That is absolutely awesome. With 8 minutes and 45 seconds left in the session. Let's see, who else is on the fly? Gold Gloves, I believe, is about to start his first flying lap. Coming into turn 1, again, 40 metre climb. It's absolutely huge. Then into turn 2. Now into the most demanding part of the circuit, the S's. It's so easy to make a mistake through here, but Gold Gloves, that is almost perfect through there, I have to say. Very beautifully taken through the S's. Coming out of turn 9 into turn 10, then 11. A potential overtaking spot. Hard on the brakes at the 75 metre mark. Clips the apex of turn 11. Down the back straightaway, I guess. DRS open, and watch that speedo climb. Into turn 12. One of the 2 major overtaking points on the circuit. Then turn 13, then they count this as a corner, turn 14, and this is turn 15. You'll see drivers trying to send it down the inside, because naturally you want to take that sort of racing line with Gold Gloves, try and open the corner up as much as possible, as a Red Bull is off. It's El Tonki, he's on an in-lap, I do believe. Turn 19, another difficult corner. It has a blind apex because it's sort of covered up by a crest when you enter the corner, as Gold Glove sets a 32.459, puts him a very healthy P2. But yeah, with turn 19 there's a crest just before the apex of that corner, so you can't see corner entry, you sort of have to guess. And for drivers like Installator, I know, and El Tonki, they don't use racing lines, so they sort of have to use landmarks and sort of feel of the circuit to try and guess where the apex is for that turn. It is quite tricky. You can cut it and get it in validations. I think you can run wide and get away with it. I don't think it gives you an invalidation. You will get an invalidation if you run wide at the final corner, turn 20 though. I have done that a couple of times. Ardy currently on a flying lap. Coming through the first sector S's, the wannabe Maggots and Beckett's. Now into turn 7, then turns 8 and 9. Oh, back end just looking a little lively, but he still looks in control. Into turn 11. Second gear, mid-corner apex speed at about 75 kilometers an hour. Then full throttle, DRS open. Speedo climbs. Up into 8th gear he will go. Then he'll aim for the 100 board. If no, he'll go even deep. Oh, he's pulled out. Okie dokie. Kickbutt Kiwi in front. Is he on a flying lap? No, he's on... Oh, he just set a flying lap. He's jumped up to P2. Sorry for not noticing that. And Misty Griffin also jumping up into P3 with a 32.4 as well. My bad. So they are able to reply to harass, but it's not quite close enough. There's still 2 tenths separating P1 and P2. That's absolutely massive when you take into consideration track evolution. So harass is definitely looking good for pole position at this stage. Aussie Suspect has got some hard tyres fitted on. Interesting. Just doing a few... Hello James. And Racer. Let's see. James Cruz, Racer Rex, Blocky Rex, Alex. All good to see. Hope you all enjoy the show. Let's... I caught the back end of it, El Tonki. I think, if that's what you're talking about with the a little spin in the S's. It happens. Like, I've done it plenty of times. Back end just steps out and it has a mind of its own. It's very difficult to recover a car once you lose it. But yeah, it's just interesting to see what Suspect is doing here. So late into the session, he's just doing some laps on the hard tyre. Maybe he's trying to gauge it? Don't know. I'll just peel off it, but I'll keep an eye on his the leaderboard just to see what he's doing. Installator. Was that a flying lap that he just did? I think it was. because now he's in P5 with a 32.4. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen, on the leaderboard. 32.35 is second. 32.42 is third. 32.45 is fourth, and 32.48 is fifth. It is incredibly close between second, third, fourth and fifth place cars at the moment. I'm sure a couple of more drivers want to get into that sort of top 5 battle. Try and jostle it out for position. Reedy's on an in-lap, I think. Proximity Ross, the Alfa Romeo, currently in 11th place out of 16 cars. 1 minute 34.6. Through turn 11. Now he drives into the bright sunshine, into turn 11, turn 12 rather, as a whole heap of drivers are now on their final out laps to start their final flying lap. So once Ross has finished his time, I'll have a look at the top 4 and see what they're going to do. How much more time can they find out of this circuit? Be very, very interesting. Through turns 16, 17 and 18 into turn 19. You have to go over the crest. Takes it very nicely. And the final corner, absolutely blinded by the sunlight, and he comes across the line with a 33.2, improves by 1.1 seconds and jumps up into P7. But still 3 drivers yet to set a flying lap. Suskas, Candy Cane and RD Chengiz. Dear me. As Harass has peeled off at the hairpin. So the first driver out of the top 4 to try and set a flying lap will be Misty Griffin, as Harass stops again. Okay, interesting. As Dan the Racer retires in the pit lane, I do believe, in 11th place at the moment. But Misty Griffin, championship leader, currently P3 in this qualifying session, begins his final flying lap through turn 1, into turn 2. Now into the S's we go, turn 3, 4, then turn 5, takes those apexes nicely, into turn 6, it's sort of a double apex right-hander, turn 7, now the uphill climb of turns 8 and 9, 9 having a blind exit, so you have to be careful here. Turn 10, completely blind, you have to make sure you don't cut too much, otherwise it's an invalidation. 75 meter marker, turn 11, kisses the apex quite nicely. Now into the sun on the back straightaway, DRS open, into mode 4, not running mode 5, there's no real need to run mode 5. Now into the heavy braking zone of turn 12, 75-ish meter board, takes the apex quite nicely. Now into turns 13 and 14, he's up by 0.4 of a second as well. This is looking like a pole time for the championship leader, but we'll have to wait and see what the other 3 drivers have got in store. Now through turn 17 and 18, you can see there, completely blind apex of turn 19, but he takes it nicely, uses all the curb on exit, into the final corner of turn 20, gets on the power nice and early, and across the line it's a 31.7. Awesome lap there from Misty Griffin. Gold gloves, I don't think he's on the lap, neither is Kickbutt Kiwi, so it's all down to Harass. Can he do it? No, he can't. Misty Griffin, if I'm not mistaken, will start on pole position here at the United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. An awesome lap time from the Renault driver. Very few mistakes I found on that lap. Very few mistakes. It was a very, very good lap, I must say, from Griffin. Stamping his authority in this championship. And another big thing, Aussie Suspect will start from 9th place on the hard compound tyres. And well done, Ardy. I'm Sorry I didn't catch too much of you. You didn't set a flying lap, and yet you've qualified 6th. Well done on only 1 flying lap. So had very good pace, did Artie in the McLaren. It's looking like a good day for the McLaren team as well. 3rd and 6th. Racing Point 4th and 5th as well. They're both looking good for this race. Oh, and Aussie's done it on the medium tyre. That's going to be interesting. How does that tyre strategy play out? It seems like it's going to be a dry race then, if he's going with this sort of strategy. That he is willing to sacrifice track position earlier on in the race for a more ideal tyre strategy. It's going to be very, very awesome to see how that plays out. But with qualifying done and dusted, it's time to move on to the main show, the race itself. Clear-ish skies here at COTA. Bit of overcast, bit of cloud cover here and there. That's alright. Drivers will be praying that the rain stays away. And how many more turns does this dramatic championship have left in store for us? From Mexico, we now have 11 different race winners. From 18 races, we've had 11 different race winners. It is absolutely incredible. With Iconic Hugh winning in Mexico City after a very good drive and a bit of luck with the safety car as well in his favour, but a good drive nonetheless. But with him winning in Mexico, he became the 11th different winner in this championship. It's absolutely unbelievable. Let's just, we don't need lap data. I would like to see what tyres these guys are on. Alright, that's good to see. But, let's see. Misty Griffin has won a race. Harass has won a race. Kickbutt Kiwi has won a race. Who else here? Aussie Suspect, Lunacy, and I believe that's it. So out of the 11, 6 of them are on the grid here today. Others were reserves, or drivers who were in this championship, but have now moved on into Tier 1, which will be a hell of an experience, I would think, driving with the top dogs. And also, in regards to this race, Aussie Suspect starting on the medium tyre as he qualified on them, but Deputy Dilldog, the Alfa Romeo driver, will also be starting on the medium tyre. Dan the Racer also on the mediums in P11 and 12. Reedy on the softs, interesting. El Tonki on the mediums, Suscus on the softs, and Candy Cane on the softs as well. Reedy did say to me pre-race that he might be gambling with the 2-stop. It is possible to make it work, especially if there's a safety car somewhere in that, somewhere in this race. It is possible, but yeah, you need to be confident in your car speed to make the 2-stop work, and you need a bit of luck on your side, as you always do in Formula 1. You always need a bit of luck. The Misty Griffin leading the field through the second to last corner into the final corner, and we're going to begin this race. 28 laps here at COTA, 28 times through Sector 1. It's quite the challenge for the drivers ahead, for sure, to negotiate that sector 28 times. Rightio. McLaren's to have a moment on the first lap, doubling down on us, righto. Let's see if it comes up, shall we? We'll hold that prediction up to you, see what happens, shall we? But the cars are now lined up back on the grid. I think the game is finally loaded, which is good to see. But let's get this race underway. The third last round of this championship here at the United States. And it's lights out and away we go here at COTA. And it seems that Harass has gotten an electric start off the so does Mr. Kick by Kiwi. He almost follows him. He now has the outside into turn 2. Can he make it stick into the S's? Yes, he can. He moves himself into P2. Griffin with a horrible start, losing 2 positions from pole. He now sits in P3. The midfield gets through relatively okay through the first sector. Oh, scratch that. Someone's lost it. I believe it's Ken. It is. He's had a moment coming into turn 7, and he's dropped down to last place. Oh, we have another one as well. Proximity Ross. He's fallen down to 15th, maybe 16th. What does Ken do around the outside? Oh, pushing him a little bit out wide, but that's alright. Ken moves himself into P15. Ross now sits in last place, or 16th. Actually, these two are about to go side by side here. Oh, and Ken's got wing damage as well, and so does Ross, so both of them will need to make pit stops. So, Harass leads, Kickbutt Kiwi in 2nd, Misty Griffin in 3rd, Gold Gloves in P4, Ardy making up a place in P5, Installator in P6, Lunacy in P7 from 11th, if I'm not mistaken. From 10th, sorry. He comes up to P7. Candy Cane having the best start out of everyone, up 8 positions from last place into the top 10 after 1 lap. A superb start for the Renault driver. Aussie Suspect on the medium tyre holds his P9 after the first lap. The Deputy Dilldog rounding out the top 10. Of course, Ken and Proximity Ross coming into the pit lane to change their front wings. No safety cars as of yet. And oh, that's Misty Griffin into Gold Glove and around. Oh, an enormous crash. Dearie me. It looked like Misty completely lost it by himself. And it's just unfortunate. Oh my dear. Enormous crash. And it's the championship leader as well. Misty Griffin now down in 14th place with a completely destroyed right hand side of that wing. This championship has been turned on its head within a matter of corners. Now who was that he made contact with who T-boned him? It must have been Ardy in the McLaren. He's got wing damage, not a great deal. It is on reduced, the damage in this game. But I believe it was Ardy that went into the side of him. I believe. I could be wrong about that. People can check the stream. Oh, bit jumpy, but that's alright. As drivers are coming in, Ardy obviously to get that wing replaced. He just had absolutely nowhere to go. I think Misty lost it by himself at turn 7. Now going to come into the pit lane to get that replaced. But Arras leading the way, critically leading the way. Kickbutt Kiwi in 2nd place. Installator in 3rd. A distant 3rd, 4.3 seconds separating him to 2nd place. Lunacy in 4th. Candy Cane in 5th. Aussie Suspect now gaining 3 positions after that bit of chaos. He's now into 6th, potentially into 5th. Down the inside into turn 11. He makes the move stick and will get DRS as well. Very opportunistic move, and he's made it stick. Very well done. Deputy Dilldog now moves up into P7. Dan the Racer in P8. With DRS, he's not quite close enough to make the move stick. Gold Gloves in P9. Losing a bunch of positions. He got caught up with Misty, if I remember correctly. I might have to look at that on the stream just to get a better idea of what actually happened at that part of the race. But now the field incredibly spread out. Except for the midfield, we got this nice train of cars. You can see it there on the minimap. It's currently being led by Lunacy. Then Suspect, Kane, Deputy, Dan the Racer, Gold Gloves. And Reedy not too far behind with El Tonki and Suskas. They're still in touching distance, but they need to get within 1 second to try and really catch it on to the back of that train of cars. Keep our eye on this midfield pack, shall we? Lunacy and Suspect are starting to pull away from this group. Candy Cane has now become the leader of it in P6. See that train of cars behind, and Dan the Racer, that's a big send. He can't pull it up though, and he's going to lose a position in the process as well. Too big a dive, too opportunistic. He's now having a drag race with Gold Gloves. Around the outside, no, he can't make it stick. Gold Gloves moves himself into 8th place. Now let's see if I can't find what happened in this race, shall I? See if I can't find it. Let's see, it would have been about 4 laps ago. No, 3 laps ago. It's been impossible to load, because of course it is. Anyhow, as Deputy sends it down the inside of Candy Cane, can he make it stick? Not quite. Candy Cane holds it around the outside, having that better traction. There's no real overtaking opportunities here in the first sector. He has to wait. Deputy. Oh, but Candy Cane has a bit of a moment at turn 6. I thought the Alpha might have smelt an opportunity there, but he hasn't gone for it. Let's see. Race live streams. There it is. See if it can't actually load up, which would be great. There it is. Let's see. Lap. Here we go. Gold Gloves actually making a move. Great straight line speed, I have to say, from the racing point. In fact, he might get 2 here. Oh, and a bit of argy-bargy between him and the Renault. He ultimately gets through into 6th place, trying to recover back into the top 5. Yeah, Gold Gloves did get caught up with it. Oh, okay. I understand now. I understand now how Gold Gloves lost so many positions. But no damage. That's a surprising bit. So, quite surprising. But he didn't get any damage from that. There we go. But now he becomes the leader of this pack of cars. Candy Cane in 7th. Dilldog in P8, down the race of P9. Candy Cane gets a 3-second time penalty. I'm sure that won't be the last time that notification comes up on screen, and have a look at that. That's a great aerial shot. It's of the wrong car, but it's a great aerial shot nonetheless. Should be chasing the pack of 3, not the Williams at the back of that pack. But anyway, that's alright. Suscast gets a 3-second time penalty. Be seeing plenty of that in this race, I do imagine. Misty Griffin now down in dead set last. 5 seconds behind Proximity Roche. He desperately needs a safety car to swing things back in his favour, but at this stage everyone looks in relatively good spirit and they look relatively calm and in control. They don't look like they're going to make any sort of accident and create the safety car. So for Misty, it's not looking good. Now, take the championship lead by 4 points. If he can snag fast lap as well, it'll increase it to 5 as Candy Cane has a moment at turn 19. Dildo might have a look here. He doesn't. He'll get DRS though. So does Candy Cane. The Deputy gets a very nice run out of the corner. They're going to be side by side towards the apex of turn 1. That's a horrible camera shot, Codemasters. Kenny K tries to get a switch back. Is it successful? He has the outside, which will in turn have the inside for... Oh, that could have been nasty. Luckily, they managed to resolve it pretty well, and without any sort of accident either. But ultimately, Deputy comes out on top. The Alpha moves himself up into P7. There we go. I think that might be that sorted at this stage. See it now, everyone's sort of breaking themselves apart. You can see that on the minimap. They're all in their own little world at this stage. But this man right here is the most interesting prospect out of the top 5. And that's why. The only driver in the top 5 on the medium tyre. So he'll be running long, and he's going to be mega fast towards the end of this race. As Installator is coming into the pit lane, lap 6. Really early, I have to say. Hard on the brakes to make sure he doesn't get a speeding penalty. Got 5 seconds to come along with speeding in the pit lane. Onto the medium tyre. And out he goes. 3 seconds for Suskus as well. Now, someone else is coming in as well, it seems. Suskus has left the session, okay. Oh, he's been disqualified. What? Oh my! What on... Oh my word. Oh my word. Definitely not Suskus's night tonight. Deary me. I have never seen that before. That is an enormous amount of penalties. Okay, Gold Gloves also in that sort of brief period of me looking at the penalties. Gold Gloves has moved himself up into P4. Now trying to hunt down Aussie Suspect. As Lunacy comes into the pits, lap 7. Already on the limiter. Really early on the limiter, I have to say. Just losing tenths of a second by doing that. And here comes Installator. He's going to overtake Lunacy, obviously, with that undercut. Also the fact that he was ahead prior to the pit stops. I think it was about 2 seconds separating the two. It's a bit more than that now. It's quite a bit more than that. It's almost 7 seconds separating the two. Oh wait, no, it was Aussie Suspect who was in 4th place at the time, wasn't it? Installator was quite a fair bit further up the road than I thought he was. I thought Installator was in 4th place when he pitted, but he wasn't, was he? He was 3rd place when he pitted. There we go. Speaking of which, Installator is now on the back of Dan the Racer. He's got DRS, he's chucked it up into hot lap. He wants to get this overtake done. He's got to move to the inside. It's going to be very straightforward. Braking on the marks. Moves himself into P7. Next driver in his sights is Candy Cane. I'd say there's not a great deal else happening at the moment. Everyone's sort of calmed down. Sort of just rolling around circuit. Deputy might be looking to try and make an overtake as Candy Cane's into the pits. So Installator will move up into P6. Then the Racer into P7. El Tonki into P8. Candy Cane onto the medium compound tyres. He'll be trying to go to the end on that set. Oh, Lunacy on the hard tyre. Okay. I didn't notice that. He's gone a little bit unorthodox. Reedy on the hard tyres as well. Didn't see that. He's made a stop onto the hard tyre. The Deputy now all over the back of Gold Gloves. Did Gold Gloves make a mistake? Must have. Lost a lot of time. And Deputy into 4th place. Making a move down the inside into turn 12. I hope they add a replay feature. That'd be quite nice, just to see what happened. Oh, Gold Gloves. Back end everywhere there. As Harass, I think, is coming in. He is. Kickback Kiwi follows, and Aussie sus. Obviously, he's on the medium tyre. So he now takes the race lead. And he'll be going to, I imagine, about lap 17. Then he'll come in and go onto the softs. Deputy moves himself up into P2. Harassed, does he come out in P3 after all of this? No, it's Installator. My word, that undercut is awesome. He was in 3rd. Now he's provisionally race leader. Overtaking both Harass and Kickbutt Kiwi. That is an excellent bit of strategy. But his tyres are 3 laps older. And as I mentioned before, tyre temperatures around here are a nuisance to deal with. And bad tyre temperatures lead to horrible tyre wear. So, Installator's got to do from now. Like, he's done enough work to get in front of his 2 rivals. He now needs to try and find a way to stay in front. Critically, Harass is outside of 1 second to Installator. He's 1.6. I'm sure that will close up at some stage, but at least at this point, Installator's got a gap. He can make it work. It'll be interesting to see how he conducts himself throughout the rest of this race. Now, I was going to see if this was going to be a battle, but I don't think so. I think Ken needs to make another stop. Let's see. Probably be making it either this lap or next lap. Hearing me. Lunacy now on the back of El Tonki. El Tonki on 10 lap old mediums. Lunacy on 3 lap old hards. Gold Gloves gets a 3-second time penalty. Sector 3 yellow flags. That's Ken. What's happened to him, I wonder? Has he missed pit entry, or has he had a moment, perhaps? Not quite sure. Oh, and Misty got the revving glitch, dearie me. The suspect leading the way. What's that gap to him to P3? Leader. 13.1 seconds. Oh, that's Ken. He's made a mistake in the S's. Dear, oh dear. And now he'll have absolutely shocking tyre temperatures. That car's going to be absolutely everywhere now. As El Tonki and Artie are having an exchange, it seems. Artie on 9 lap old medium tyres after making contact. Oh, here we go. That's the dive bomb I was talking about with that hairpin. You can launch it down the inside. The only problem is the guy on the outside will have the inside for turns 16, 17 and 18. Oh, this might be messy. We're right on board with Gold Gloves. Oh, that could have been messy as well. Out of turn 19 into the final corner. Turn 20, hard on the brakes goes Gold Gloves. Is it going to be a 2-for-1 here? Into turn 1 maybe for Gold Gloves. Artie's going to look to the inside. Will Gold Gloves look to the inside? Yes, he will! And into the back! But luckily he did it at a good enough angle that it's only sort of a push forward and it doesn't put him into a spin. Now, has he got damage from that, I wonder? I think he does too. I think he does. Yep. There we go. It's gone from bad to worse for Gold Gloves. That he wasn't in any shape or form the cause of with Misty Griffin. And now that, I mean, it was pretty big contact, but he was good enough to do it at a pretty nice angle, so then it's only a bump forward. It doesn't put the McLaren in front into a spin. It will be interesting to see what he does now. Does he come into the pits and get it replaced, or does he try and tough it out? I think he'll probably try and tough it out, to be honest. If he pits, he'll lose too much time, and Suspect is in. Interesting. This is early. This is very early. On to the hards. Oh no. Oh no. Does Ozzy know that this is a soft to medium circuit? I mean, he's in provisionally second place. Because that's obviously where Kickbutt Kiwi is. No, sorry, provisionally third place. Because Installator's your race leader, proper race leader. I think he can make it to the end. His tyres will be there, but I think he can make it. Harass in P2. Deputy needs to make a stop, so it'll be Aussie Suspect in P3. As, speaking of which, Harass has now made a move on Installator, moves himself into the lead. Candy Cane, a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. But yeah, so Aussie's got third at this stage. See what Kickbutt can do here. He's on 3-lap-old hards. They are older, not a great deal older. It seems that Aussie has got good enough speed to pull away. Be interesting to see how his strategy plays out. He's got quite a big margin to himself and Installator. It's about 7 seconds, and I don't think he'll be able to catch up. I think. I'm sure he can prove me wrong. Deputy is going on till the softs can make it to the end, so I think about lap 17 or maybe even lap 16 he'll come in, put on a set of softs and go back out. Gonna exchange in position for P9. Hardy moves himself into 9th, but he makes a mistake in the S's. Oh, this could be nasty. Oh, and Candy Cane, that's a great move. That is a fantastic move. Oh, but Artie, what on earth is that? But Candy Cane, what are they doing? They're still side by side. I don't understand. I mean, yeah, Candy Cane, you're low on ERS, but you should use a bit. Deary me. Because he had no sort of straight line speed. He had great aerodynamic grip, it seems. Maybe high wings. Because he was able to hold it around the outside of Artie at turn 7. Which is awesome to watch on board. That was fantastic. But he had absolutely no straight line speed thereafter. Interesting. It just suggests to me that he's using higher wings just to try and get more downforce. And it seems that now everyone's in their own little world. The field is starting to spread out once again. Almost all of the pit stops have commenced except for Deputy. Gold Gloves gets a 3-second time penalty. Now, Installator. Harass. Let's check penalties. Just so then I can properly see what's going on between these two. Harass has got nothing. Installator also has nothing. They both have 2 warnings each. So they're on pretty even ground. And that gap is opening too. It's opening at a rapid rate. Reedy, a 3-second time penalty. Multiple warnings. Okay. So it seems like at this stage Harass has got a pretty straightforward W. Fairly straightforward win. He's on fresher tyres in comparison to Installator. He's got good car speed as well. He proved that in qualifying. And at the moment he is pulling away from Installator. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. You can see that now. He really is starting to pull away. Into the pits goes Dan the Racer. Kickbutt Kiwi gets a 3-second time penalty as well. He's currently in 5th place. Now if he wants to stay within the championship fight coming into the next round, he needs to close the gap to within 52 points. At this stage it looks like a reality. Misty Griffin currently in 13th. Not looking like he's going to score any points. Ah, dearie me, this is the thing with the USA. It's a two-sided coin. It's either a really cool race or, you know, something like this, where you got cars really spread out. And at the moment, everyone has driven well enough to not cause a safety car as well. A few incidents here and there, but nothing major. Everyone but Suscar seems to be making it to the finish line. When Harass crosses the line, it'll be 11 laps to go, if you include lap 18. Now, I think Deputy will be making his stop. No. Okay. So probably next lap then. And I wouldn't be preying on the safety car either. No one at this stage is going to cause a safety car. Everyone is sort of by themselves. Everyone is in a nice sort of calm state. They're not going to make too many mistakes. Artie though, getting a 3-second time penalty. He's in the points. Both McLarens in the points. Both Racing Points in the points as well. Looking like a good day for those two teams. They qualified well as well, as I pointed out just after qualifying. They've lost some positions though, but they're still in the points. That's what matters. Aussie's going to make a move here, for sure. Here we go. It's going to be very simple. He's going to move to the inside, even before the braking zone, well before the braking zone. Easy done. Moves himself into 3rd place. And with Deputy's pit stop, it's going to chuck him a fair way down the order. It might chuck him down as far as 9th place once he makes his pit stop, but he's going to be stupidly quick on those softs. It'll be interesting to see how he charges up back through the field. But here we go. I'm sure he's going to pit now. Installator gets a 3-second time penalty. It may prove crucial. He's staying out. I think at this stage all he's doing is praying for a safety car. I think fairly correct in saying that he hasn't made a pit stop. He hasn't. Gold Gloves gets a 3-second. So he actually needs to make a stop at some stage. It's either he wants to do exactly 10 laps with the tyre, or he's praying for a safety car. And Kickbutt Kiwi's catching quite a rapid rate. Misty Griffin, a 3-second time penalty, down in 12th place. He's going to be trying to hunt down Dan the Racer and Proximity Ross to try and score something. Anything. Kickbutt Kiwi revving it out in 7th gear. Coming through the 3rd sector. Yeah, I know, Blocky. I've mentioned that already. That if Harass wins this thing, he will take the championship lead by 4 points. Now, if Suspect finishes where he is, let's see, that's 15 points if I remember correctly. And the gap before this race was 28. So he's going to close the gap to 13 points. But I know Installator's got a 3-second. Does Aussie have anything? He's got 3 warnings, but no penalty. What about Kickbutt? I think he's got a couple.